Hey everybody, welcome on TikTok. Hope you guys are doing well. Want to give this a minute for a few people to tune in before I go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone on YouTube. Hope you are doing well. Right. If I could get a thumbs up from some of you on TikTok, same thing on YouTube, letting me know that my audio and my video is working. Before I go ahead and get started, let's make sure we are all on the same page. Now, if you're tuning in through TikTok and you have any trouble, you can switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy and vice versa. All right, so I got a bunch of thumbs up here on YouTube, and looks like we're also doing pretty well on TikTok. All right, so vice versa. If you guys are here on YouTube and you're struggling at all to hear or see, switch over to TikTok also at Ask Ivy. All right, I want to make a couple quick announcements before we go ahead and get into today's curriculum. Now, today is my 2-year anniversary show for my mini classes. So you guys are going to start posting right now your spiritual development questions. Anything goes here. Remember, this is not an Ask Ivy show. So this isn't a time for you to be posting questions about your love life or your money or like a move that you want to make. This is strictly about class curriculum. So anything spiritual, paranormal, supernatural, curiosity, questions about the universe, anything goes. Start posting them now. My beautiful producer, Maraid, will be taking them throughout the class. So couple quick announcements while we let people post and tune in. We do have on April 24th, 3 different things going on. Okay, so the first thing is the raffle drawing. If you haven't already done so, get your raffle tickets now. So you get, I think it's $5 one ticket, 6 tickets for $20, something like that. This is a $2,100 value, so you can win an entirely free psychic mediumship course. Now, the psychic mediumship course starts April 25th. If you have not already registered yourself, go ahead and do so now. There are 2 tiers to learning. So if you've been wanting to take my course, become an Ivy League Psychic Academy reader, work for Ivy Ceiling Call Center, do our monthly psychic fairs, internationally we work all the time, you're going to want to check out tier 2. Okay, that's how you get certified in the program. If you're just interested in learning the basic information, look at tier 1. Right? We also have pay as you go and learn as you go options. So also on April 24th, we have the free class, Taste of Psychic Mediumship. This is through Zoom or in person if you can make it out here to Dunkirk, New York at the new headquarters. Now that's limited seating, whether you're doing it online or you're actually coming here. So check it out. It's up on the website, Taste of Psychic Mediumship. The website link is in the description box above or below. Then we have Margim Manor Wineries Psychic Fair. Okay, so we have some certified graduates of the academy here working that event, and it is filling up fast. You can get your tickets ahead of time for that, reserve with your reader, or she is taking walk-ins. The place is absolutely beautiful. It's out in Appleton, New York. Just such a romantic spot. You get to do like wine tasting and all kinds of other fun things that day. So check it out. April 24th, Margin Manor Winery. The tarot class is now available for video download up on the site. We also have 8 new readers and healers for Ivy's Healing Call Center, open 7 days a week, wherever you are in the world, pretty much any time. You can call up at the center and get a reading. You don't have to wait, or a healing. We have our first Paranormal Tour. Okay, so our supernatural tours start May 28th. Tickets are now on sale. And we're also having our first really big psychic fair here at the new headquarters. That is virtual if you want to join us for your readings or even the tour, or you can come in person. Also up on the website, My Victorian Tea. It's been a long time. I only did one since COVID hit. So I am back out there at gigs. Margin Manor Winery, My Victorian Tea and Gallery show, where I read the audience and you get like 4-course, series of like meals and teas and different wines. I'm not sure exactly what she does out there. I just deliver messages from spirit to the audience. And then afterward, I do private reads. Okay. So that's going to be May 1st, and tickets are selling fast for that as well. All right. So looks like we have a few people tuned in, and it looks like some of our comments are starting to fill up. So again, welcome everyone. I'm Ivy Rivera, psychic medium. I'm a Taino Arawak. I own a school called Ivy League Psychic Academy where I train people internationally online. And we're slowly getting back to in-person in everything, ranging from psychic mediumship development to numerology, empathic ability, you name it, we do it. We train children as well as adults. So you're going to want to check out a full list of classes at ivyleaguepsychicacademy.com. If you need to book a reading with me or an event, you can go to ivyrivera.psychicmedium.com. Now, what you've caught here tonight is my 2-year anniversary show for my mini classes called the Quarantine Series that I started putting out when COVID hit. So I'm really kind of shocked that it's been this long. When I realized this was the 2-year anniversary date, I really had to take a step back, and I had to take a deep breath, and realize that so much has gone on in the last few years since the pandemic hit, but it's also kind of like a blur. I can't be the only one who feels like I'm living in some kind of a weird dream without any sort of timeline. It's like one day is just rolled into the next, and I'm not sure where I am in time anymore. But I know that there were so many negative things that came from COVID. And I believe if you've seen my 2022 predictions, that we're still going to be dealing with this for quite some time. But there are some good things that have also come from the pandemic. And I definitely feel blessed that this is one of them. And I just want to thank you guys for being so supportive on my YouTube channel here, on my TikTok as well. Because that's what motivated me to start offering these mini classes. I felt that it was something I could contribute to the public while we were all in quarantine. We were down and out. We were suffering tremendously, and we were all going through this spiritual awakening, many of us dark night of the soul. And so I know that these classes have been helping you guys, and I want to continue on doing them. Please do give this video a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe. Donations are appreciated. What we're doing here today is a Q&A on anything. So go ahead and post your questions on spiritual development. So if you have a question about your lover, if you have a question about your job, no. That's the Ask Ivy show. That's every other Wednesday. That is not tonight. This is on spiritual development, curious things, questions about the universe, paranormal, anything goes. All right. So I'm going to have Mairead, my beautiful producer, start popping up the questions, and I'm going to take them one at a time. Okay, so let's see. We're going to start with from Facebook. Christina asks, can you do shadow work or conquer your demons and still be in the light, in the right? How do you balance it? Well, I think that we tend to see our negativity, our toxicity, our low-level habits, our shadow work, right? Those demons that we want to hide and never look at. We tend to see them as negative. I don't. I see them as a stepping stone. So if you change the way you think about negativity and you remove that judgment on it just because it was painful, it was uncomfortable, maybe you made some mistakes, it does create that toxicity. But if you see it as leverage, something you can alchemize from negative to positive, it's actually really beneficial, and it's full of power. And it can, if you use it right, be something that quickly helps you to advance in life and even go out and help other people to advance in that area with that wisdom. But what we don't want to do, and this is where it shifts from being alchemy, from something negative into something positive. What we don't want to do is to hang on for too long to something. So there's a time to pay attention and do the shadow work and sit in the discomfort, the toxicity, the negative, painful feelings and to ask the right questions. What am I supposed to learn from this? How can I alchemize this? And then when you realize that you're not getting any more answers, that it's just negative, cyclical, patterned thinking, like you become a hamster on a wheel, you're out of control. It's doing nothing but dragging your energy down. That's when you know it's time to leave it. You may have to go back and revisit it later because healing is not a linear experience. It's not from point A to point B. It's cyclical. It'll come back around again and again and again and again through life. So we have to be willing to say, I can revisit this later, but for now, I've taken everything out of it that I can. Okay. That's the best way that you can make sure you're staying in the light with shadow work. All right. So we have another question coming in here from an Elizabeth Wise. If your kids wake up during the witching hours, almost nightly, does that indicate something more negative? So, okay, good. So Elizabeth also posted this on Facebook. Okay, so Mairead, my producer, you may already have this one. You can eliminate it. So what Elizabeth is referring to here is 3 to 5:30 in the morning, the witching hour, also called the haunting hour or the spirit hour. So what happens with that time frame is that everybody sort of gets activated. Everybody starts to receive messages from spirits, or we will see spirits. We get woken up out of our sleep, whether we're just becoming sort of hyper aware that the spirits are there, or they're actually waking us up. And those that have mediumistic abilities, including children, because children are super mediumistic, we will notice that it's disruptive. It can cause nightmares, and it can make it very difficult for a child to stay in their bed, to stay in their own room. So I think what she's really asking here is, is it a sign of something more negative? And I would say not necessarily. If your child is terrified by something that is coming to them at any point, not just during the witching hour, but ever, then we need to understand that it's time to do a clearing. It's time to set some boundaries. And we have a hauntings, clearings, and detachments class up on the website that can help you with that. I also have a free mini class here on YouTube called 10 Signs Your House is Haunted. So you want to look at where the problem is coming from and correct it. Stop it at the roots. But if it's just awareness, if your kids are waking up and you know that you're intuitive, they probably inherited your intuition and mediumistic abilities, then you have to expect that a lot of the spirits that come around during that time are not necessarily trying to disrupt anyone's lives. We do want to watch for things like hair pulling, scratches on the body, bruises, night terrors. That's not normal. And I think the kids need to start training in boundary setting at 3 years old. That's when they have their first mediumistic peak. 5 and 6 years old, that's when they have their first intuitive peak. Check out the class up on the website called Intuitive Kids and learn to teach your kids to set boundaries in their own bedroom, and they'll become more empowered to handle it and use their discernment to better understand whether or not a spirit is positive or negative. Okay. I have to plug in my computer. I thought I did. Bear with me. All right. We have another question coming in. You guys keep posting them. All right. So let's see. Where are we? So we have a question here from a Jill Marie. She says, if ancestors reincarnate, do we lose the ability to communicate with them, or are we as spirits in both places at once? So that's a great question. Reincarnation does not stop the work we do with each other. In the same way that, let's say you had a soulmate contract with somebody and they passed away. Well, that soulmate contract is full of work agreements and you have cords. So you're connected to that other person. That is what I would call a significant relationship. And because of the contract, the work continues. So that person may pass away, but you continue to work with them. It's the same thing with reincarnation. And this is such a great question. Not enough people, I think, reflect on this. It is almost like being in multiple places at once, like time travel. It is sort of like having a voicemail left for you, or somebody texts you and you can get to it later on. Okay. There's nothing specific in time that holds us to a location. So we don't have to be together physically. That means that when someone reincarnates, they can still continue doing work from the other side in spirit. They will continue even to work on issues from their past lives. We're all doing it. And I think that's some great proof that we are all working together continuously, regardless of whether or not we're in the meat suit or we're on the other side, is what we do in dreams and how we communicate with each other spiritually while we're alive through telepathy. So there really is no bound on this whatsoever. And the work continues just from different angles. So sometimes you can communicate with someone in spirit from who they were because it's part of their higher mind, even if they've reincarnated. And it's almost like a messaging system, sort of like leaving a voicemail or a text message going back and forth. It may not feel exactly the way it used to, but the messages are still there. And there would probably be more astral travel at night where you're spending more real time with this person by like leaving the body and traveling to other dimensions together. Okay. So also check out more on astral travel. Great question. Okay. So we do the same thing. I just want to say at night, you may feel like you're working a lot. You may be a guide for someone else. I believe that it is entirely possible, not for us to be angels. I understand a lot of people are like, oh, well, this so-and-so passed and they're my guardian angel. That doesn't happen. Humans don't become angels and angels don't become humans, but we can become guides. Some guides are human beings. Okay. So you may even be doing this. Pretty interesting. So we have another one from a hunter, Santiago. What are some ways to create a ritual of our spiritual practices? Well, I would have to know more of what it is that you do. I don't really believe in rituals. I don't work with any tools. I don't get involved in spells. I don't get involved in even altars. I don't get involved in like giving, I don't want to say sacrifices. I can't think of the right word. But I don't get involved in any of that. And everything works perfectly fine for me. Because I think that there is a time and a place to better connect through things like tools or rituals to spirit. But the ultimate goal there is to be able, I think, to remove those things. It's sort of like a training tool to help you to connect. It's sort of like saying that if you were to want to start manifesting and you were brand new at it and you didn't really understand law of attraction, and so you're finding that the best way for you to manifest and to kick law of attraction into order is to maybe write things down or to put Post-its up all around your house or to create a visual for yourself a couple times a day. Eventually, you would get so skilled in that you didn't need it anymore. You would just know automatically how to connect with the universe and manifest what you want. Pull your energy back and claim it, claim it, claim it, start pulling it to you. And so you eventually surpass the need for any of those things. So I really personally can't answer that. There are a million rituals from a million different places, from a million different religions and a million different tribes. But I think you have to find what really works for you. And don't be surprised if eventually you feel like you don't need it anymore. You have a direct connection and that's good enough. Okay. We have one from TikTok at Millie Hahn. How does someone get into shadow work? I would recommend you check out. They are free and they are here on my YouTube channel. Go into the mini class playlist at Ask Ivy and you would see shadow work part 1, 2, and 3. And I would start there. You may also see under Roots Revival Interfaith, our church, we did a shadow work series as well. And so it's important to, I think, keep it somewhat organized. Don't overthink it, but definitely watch those classes and learn the basics, because I think one of the mistakes people do make with shadow work is that they feel they need to dive in and they need to sort of cut off from the rest of the world. And I think that spiritual development, I think that's shadow work, I think that going to therapy, I mean, however you want to develop yourself automatically develops yourself spiritually as well. And you have to sort of roll it all in together. Okay. So don't take it too seriously. Don't feel like you need to isolate. I think that handling things one at a time, also based on what the universe gives you to handle, is the wisest way to go. Don't force it. I think that therapy is a wonderful thing. If you follow me, you know I have classes here also, The War on Intuition, where I criticize therapy, religious systems, societies, right? Educational systems as stealing our intuition. So I know that's also going on. We have to be careful with therapists. However, I think that while therapy can be super helpful and really great, it can also keep you stuck if you're not using it properly. So I would be mindful as you handle your shadow work, handle it the same way you would handle therapy. Don't stay stuck on one thing if it's time to let it go and move on from it, or come back and revisit it later. Okay. Again, healing is cyclical. We have another question here from Facebook at David Hawk. When you have a spiritual awakening, some social relationships fall away. This can become a lonely journey. What are your ways to overcome this loneliness? You know, I wish I had an answer to that was more palatable than the truth, but there isn't one. So, right, that's why you guys watch me. So, there's nothing that you can really do about this other than stay open, understanding that when one door closes, another door opens. Every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. New level, new devil. Not everyone is going with you up that ladder. And it's going to happen again and again and again and again. It's not a one-time deal. And it's not just with like your biggest spiritual awakening. This is going to happen forever. So accept it, get comfortable being uncomfortable, and stay open to the other flip side of that, right? Which is that other people are now able to come in. If you get rid of who you are supposed to get rid of, it makes room for the new. And when we see the new come in, not to say these people will be here forever, you can't get attached to them either. Humans are humans, but you can celebrate those new relationships and honor them for whatever it is that they're meant to be. Another easy thing to do, I don't want to say it's easy to do, but it can help this process be easier on you, is to be realistic about the nature of relationships. Christina Del Rey, our astrologer, and myself, we put out a free mini class here recently called The Reality of Relationships. It's in the mini class playlist. And we talk about how you should never try to force a relationship to be more than what it is. Honor it and the other person for whatever it is that they're there to bring to the table, whatever the contract between the two of you is. Once you see things like that more realistically, you tend to take it easier when things need to end, because you understand that's all it is. It's something that needed to end. I would also say focus on the fact that you are leveling up and that you're growing. That, even though it's lonely, can bring some joy and some peace to you for sure. There are a million other things that you could focus on in life other than humans. Okay, so there are a million ways that the universe loves you and supports you in spite of people. Okay, honor that and thank the universe for being there for you and supplying you with everything that you need. If you had no one else, you could still do this on your own because the universe gives you the love you need. All right, then we have one from Kara. Okay. Again, if you guys are tuning in late, donations are appreciated. If everybody could please give this video a thumbs up right now, feel free to subscribe. If you want to hit that join button to become a member for all kinds of extras here on YouTube, you can also do that. Post your spiritual questions now. This is my 2-year anniversary show for my mini classes, the quarantine series, if we can even believe the pandemic's been going on this long. And so I'm going to get to as many as I can. All right, we have another one from Kara. What is it called when you could see other people's visions in their mind's eye? Telepathy. So when you can get into other people's heads, or I train my psychic mediumship students in something called energy jumping, a little controversial, but has to be used appropriately. When you do energy jumping or you are using telepathy, you are essentially able to see what the other person sees. You can think whatever it is that they're thinking. You can feel emotionally whatever it is that they're feeling. And sometimes you can even feel physically clairsentience in your body, physical impressions of what they're physically experiencing. We can do the same thing with the deceased and other spirits in the universe, not just humans. So that's what that's called. You're basically jumping into their energy and you're seeing what they see. It happens a lot at night when you're dreaming. If you ever dream about a situation and you're in it, like as a person, but then you realize you're not in your own body, you're in someone else's body, you're sort of living through them. Those of you that have messenger of death syndrome, or you're good at criminal investigations, cold case victims find you in your sleep. This would be something you commonly experience, and it can be confusing. You're going to wonder why you were somebody else, and you may wonder if you were yourself, but maybe in a past life. And the answer is no, probably not. You were experiencing and living something through another individual. Okay, do we have another one? All right, so we have from Dina M. What is a life purpose, and how do we know that we are fulfilling ours? Okay, so your life purpose, the way I'm referring to it here, is always in regard to your life contract. Your life contract would match your numerology chart. It would match your Vedic or Western astrology as well. So I've tested this out for a decade. They all match. So when I'm talking about a life contract, because I don't do numerology or astrology, it's sort of like a download of information based on the contract that you signed before you came to Earth. That, again, will match all the planets, all the numbers. And what that means is that you have made agreements with yourself. You chose this contract. You filled this contract out. And you agreed to get involved in certain relationships, complete certain tasks, learn different lessons, finish even like past life business that isn't complete. And you would be on deadline for these different things. Okay. So sometimes you feel like the world is sort of squeezing you and like you're under a lot of pressure, you're being rushed. It's probably because there's a deadline within your contract in regard to that situation. And what you are talking about here when you say like your life purpose, or some people say like that means that you're on your life path. Yes, that means that you are abiding by your contract. When we are not abiding by our contract, we're in the wrong career. We're in the wrong marriage or relationship. We refuse to do the work that we need to do. We're not focused on our growth. We're not living in alignment with our contract. Therefore, we're not living in alignment with the universe. Therefore, our karma is off. Everything is a hustle. Everything is pulling teeth. There's no sense of inner peace. You've lost soul syndrome. You don't really know where you're going. There's no bigger purpose or sense of fulfillment to anything. So when that's happening, that's a sign that you are off path. Okay. We have another one coming in here from a MeLove716. Regarding our life contract, how long do they typically take you to read? Do you prefer to do them in person? Is an event like Margin Manor an appropriate place to have one done with you? Well, I don't do them at Margin Manor because everything I do at public gigs is pretty brief. Like I usually do like a 1 or 2 hour show in front of an audience, and then I'll go do private reads for like 15 minutes. I could probably answer a question about your life contract in 15 minutes. I talk pretty quick, so probably even 2 or 3 maybe, but I can't do a whole life contract. They take a full hour and I have to cut a lot out of it even at a full hour. So you would book it, go onto my website and book a life contract reading, and we'll take a look at what's going on. That's a great question. Thank you so much. Ideally, I mean, I would like to give somebody a full life contract reading, and I haven't started offering them that long yet, but I think it would take me 2 hours to get into all the past life influence that affects a current life contract. And I would ideally like to also be able to talk about some relationship contracts in there, but time constraints don't really allow for it. So I stick to the work that you have to do, the deadlines and your pivotal points in an hour. All right, so we have another one here from Facebook at PJ. And I want to say thank you to my producer, Mairead, for keeping the questions up longer so that people can see them. I understand why you're doing that. That did not occur to me before. So this allows people to read them and understand what the heck I'm actually talking about. All right, makes a lot of sense. So from Facebook at PJ, what are the Akashic records? Okay, so this is about your past life history and the guide that is appointed to you who can help you to sift through your past life history. So when we talk about Akashic records, we're talking about everyone you've ever been, and that is also part of your higher mind, all right? But in order to access it, you can go through your Akashic record guide, who is appointed to you when you come to Earth, or you could tap into your higher mind and go access it that way. So yeah, I think that with Akashic records too, it's important not to get overwhelmed. So many people want to dive deep, and so many people will even go through hypnosis and things like this. I've seen some unfortunate things happen with both of those processes. I think that with Akashic, just my opinion, that it's good to focus on where we are right now and say, okay, this is my life right now. I need to stay rooted and grounded and centered, and I need to deal with my past life stuff that matters in this life, that matters for me right now. Okay, not everyone I've ever been, and you don't want to sort of get caught up into too much energy from the past. A lot of it is irrelevant. Not to say it didn't make you who you are and that it doesn't give you skill sets for now, but a lot of it, if it's a completed cycle, it doesn't really matter. You are done with that work. So it's kind of like checking it off a list. Why keep carrying that list with you? Okay. From TikTok at Terrence Johnson, 870. How do we know what point in our life contract we're at? How do we know we are leveling up? Okay. Well, when I do life contract readings, I am looking at what's called pivotal points. Your pivotal points, you get about 5 to 6 throughout your entire life. That's not very much. So we are only really significantly going to level up 5 to 6 times. If you miss one, it's possible you'll be able to do some catch-up work on the next one or even the one after that, but not necessarily. So often when a pivotal point gets lost or missed, it's too late. You will probably have to reincarnate and make up for that later on. But you know you are entering into a pivotal point when your life goes to shit. When everything falls apart, your relationships are dying, people around you are possibly passing away, maybe you have job loss, financial discord, the ground under you is being rattled, you know, the rug is sort of pulled out from under you. We could see divorces, breakups. We could see also that previous serious relationships, you know, exit as new soulmates come in, or you get pregnant. That can also happen. You could see some new opportunities come in that you weren't expecting. That's possible. But usually it's marked by 2 years of detoxing. So we have the pivotal year, but then we have 2 years before it of the detox. Again, new level, new devil. Every time the bus stops, somebody's got to get off. In order for a new door to open, another door has to close. So we're wiping out what no longer serves you, whoever no longer serves you, whatever no longer serves you, anything that is stunting your growth. Once all of that stuff is wiped out, out, you'll start entering into the pivotal year. And then you have 2 years of building after that. Okay, so it's actually a 5-year process. All right. All right, so you sort of know based on the changes. I will also just say this to people. I always tell my clients when they book a life contract reading with me, I cannot stress this enough. When somebody or something in your life needs to go, let that thing go. For the love of God, you cost yourself so much in growth and level up potential when you hold on to things that are dead. So most people fail a pivotal year because of the detox years, because they won't let go of things that they should have. So from Facebook at Wesley, what do you do when you feel called toward multiple callings? Do we continue with just shadow work? Well, I think shadow work, like 2 other people asked a very similar question. Shadow work, I think, is a continuation, and it shouldn't be like you're just in hiding doing shadow work. It should be like you're rolling it in with the rest of life. Okay. So don't think of it as like shadow work over here or life over here. It's both. It's both. And it's all spiritual development too. So I think continue on with your shadow work. We'll be doing that till the day we die and into future lives. That's a given. But I think that when you feel that you're pulled to multiple callings, it's a sign that if I were to look at your life contract, I would see that you either came here with a healer's contract or a light worker's contract. Light workers contracts, and I know for a fact you have one because you work here for me at the Academy. Light workers contracts are overwhelming at best. They tend to shift every 3 to 6 years. It's almost a miracle if you get 7 years out of any one task. Even if you do get 6 or 7 years, you're going to be bringing multiple other things in during that time. So it's never just one thing. And as light workers on Earth, the universe is constantly, based on the shifts around the world, moving us. So light workers tend to get very frustrated because they don't understand, even if they're in mainstream typical jobs like nursing or teaching or counseling or whatever, they don't understand why it's constantly changing and shifting them around. And that would be why. Okay, so you have a light workers contract and that's normal. I would say this, as far as advice on that goes, I think you need to use your discernment. I think you need to be able to multitask. And I think you need to be able to stay, calm, cool, and collected at all times. Understanding that spirit will show you what you're supposed to be focusing on right now. And then you need to be able to detach from it when they show you now you're going to focus on this or that or this or that. Be willing to zig and zag and detach. Okay. Detach also from outcome. And this is an ego issue that a lot of people have, self-included, of course. I mean, you want to see a certain outcome. You put in all this effort into a project. You expect it to look like this in the end, or, it's going to reap this benefit, this level of prosperity. Forget all about that. Just do what you were told to do. Be of service and abide by the work itself and forget about the outcome. Okay. All right. We have one from Bianca. What are some signs of karmic ties to someone else? And how do we know if we are connected with someone? Woo. All right. So I love this question. I did go to YouTube here at Ask Ivy. I don't know what platform you're on right now. Go up in the mini classes. I did one on soulmates. I did one on the myth of twin flames. And I have one up on the website called Karma, Contracts, and Past Lives. I have another one called Relationships, Boundaries, and Cord Cutting up on the website that's all about this. So how do you know if you have a karmic contract with someone? First of all, you're going to feel like you knew this person forever. It's like coming home. You feel so comfortable. You know what they're thinking. Telepathically, you guys are connected. And you may find that this person shows up in your dreams. Even if you're not together and you don't deal with this person, this can go on for years and years and years, where they're showing up in your dreams. They're showing up around you in signs and symbols, or like their name is constantly popping up. You know what they're feeling. You know what they're going through in life, even if you don't talk about it. And they can do the same same thing with you. This is due to something called cords. So when we have cords connected from us to someone else, it's because we had some type of a contract, either karmic contract or a soulmate contract. Now, karmic contracts, unlike soulmate contracts, tend to be very, very difficult, and they can be really super toxic. You have to understand that even though you feel really drawn to this person and you believe 100% you're meant to be together, because you are, it's often for a lesson, and it may feel like you're just taking a beating from the situation. Often there is a sort of karmic, huge karmic lesson or karmic ending, the end of a karmic cycle that comes for you once you finally realize what this person was supposed to teach you. A great example of this is if you got involved in a relationship and you thought it was absolutely incredible, but then this person was abusive toward you, or, you know, they were emotionally unavailable. Well, what did that teach you? Well, probably to keep loving yourself and keep your boundaries set with every human being, you know, to never sort of abandon yourself for someone else. Maybe that was the big karmic lesson you had to learn. But they tend to be pretty tough and irresistible. We do have to watch out for addictive tendencies with that person. You may feel almost like coming down off a drug, you know, that you want them in your life, even if you know it isn't working and it isn't good. Some karmic contracts, though, work out pretty well, and you know, you guys can stay amicable or even friendly, but you will continue to learn and grow from that person, and vice versa. All right. Do we have another one coming in here from Mary? Mary says, I see feathers all the time. How do I know who they're from? Well, you could take the psychic mediumship course to learn the language so that you can identify what spirits are communicating with you when and what it is that they're trying to say. You can also take the feather and hold it and ask it, where did you come from? And that'll start to tap you into that spirit's energy. And then you can communicate with that spirit directly. You should understand that the idea that feathers only come from angels is a myth. It is common, actually, to get feathers from angels, but angels are pretty elusive. They're not our buds. They're not there all the time. It's not a casual back and forth with them. They are the healing entities of the universe, and it's rare that we hear from them unless we're in crisis. And so most of the time when you're receiving feathers, it's either from your guides or it's from your loved ones or ancestors on the other side. I always tell my students and my clients too, start keeping a jar or jars, depending on what little gifts different spirits are leaving for you. If it's numbers, obviously you can't really collect those, but you can make mental note of it. If it's songs popping into your head, you can make mental note of that. But a lot of times it's like stones or it's feathers, you know, it's different objects being left for you, like pennies from heaven, or, you know, the pennies from heaven or coins and things like this. Start collecting jars. The more you go and address that jar, the stronger the energy is going to be, and the faster you'll get at picking up on who is talking to you and what it is that they're trying to say. All right, so we have another one coming in here from a genie. After cutting the cord with a negative person, they always try to come back. How do we keep them away? You can't, because they know when you cut the cord. They know when you're thinking about cutting the cord. They know if you go and you buy my cord cutting class, the minute you hit that pay button, they know. So you can't. The only thing that you can control in this world is your reaction to other people's inappropriate behavior. So you are taking the cord cutting class, or you are doing the cord cutting to claim your power back, to say, I am in control of this situation and I will be going no contact and not entertaining your energy. So when they try to come back around, that's all you could do is sustain that, right? No contact. Do not address them. You know, people say kill them with kindness. I like that saying, kill them with blindness. I don't see you. You are irrelevant. You do not exist. Poof, you're invisible to me. Okay. Give it no time, give it no attention, and give it no thought. Because if you are cheating And mentally behind closed doors, you're thinking about them all the time. You're allowing your emotion, to still think on them or want them back around. You're feeding the memories. This just ruined all the hard work you did with cord cutting. So start with your mind. Okay. Let's move on to another one from Bill. Do you believe that paranormal tours are haunted? Does that mean they are negative places to be? Well, it depends on what location we're talking about. It depends on the intention of the person or people going in there. And it definitely depends on the spirits that are involved. So when we talk about a location, we're talking about residual energy that is not necessarily intelligent energy, but it can be negative or positive. When we talk about the people that are going into the location, some people are going in for a paranormal tour and they don't mean any harm. Other people are going in to stir the shit pot and they want to cause damage. And that's a problem. Be careful the company you keep or how you approach these situations. You may just get what you're asking for. Then we have the spirits that are involved, if there are spirits involved. And in a lot of locations, there aren't any. They actually are staged. So possibly the location is staged with objects that carry a lot of energy, or the atmosphere itself carries some residual energy, but there are no actual intelligent spirits involved in the location. So that's a common trick with paranormal tours. But if there are spirits involved, it depends on whether they're in the light or they're earthbound or they're negative and lower energies. So there are a lot of different factors involved. For example, what I'm doing here with the supernatural, and these are also educational tours at my location, I know that the spirits here, while they can be noisy, they are not toxic. They're not attacking anyone, and I'm not allowing anyone through my door that intends to do harm to anyone here. So you have to keep the energy clean and positive. But there are other places where I see people go on a tour and they bring the entities or the tortured spirits from that location back home with them. And then we have issues with the family dog dying and all of the pets, showing problems, the children showing problems, mental health issues in the family, divorces. This is a sign that you brought something back and it took over your space and your life. So be very, very careful. All right. So from Chrissy, is reincarnation real? Sometimes I think my son was a relative who passed. I'm sure he was. This is super, super common to be reborn with the same people over and over again in different capacities. So one of the most common things to see is that your current spouse was actually your child, or vice versa. Really awkward. But again, we're supposed to be learning in this life a different relationship dynamic and fulfilling different aspects of the contract that didn't get done before. So previously it was a different story in what we were supposed to be teaching each other, how we were supposed to be supporting each other, or what we were supposed to be taking from the other person. And so it is, yes, very, very common. And it's absolutely real. It is something that I think most people have been through many, many times. When I talk about old souls, or I say old soul syndrome, and I say, well, this means that you're an old soul. You've been around the block a bunch of times. That doesn't necessarily mean that you learned a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing very well, but you've lived many, many lives. Okay. It can mean that you're kind of taking the test over and over and over and over and over again. So many old souls are not necessarily wise people or evolved people, but there are some that most certainly are. And you can see that with them, that they are always coming to earth with a growth mindset. And you should be able, with your son being a child, to see that early on with him. If he is one of these old souls that is mature beyond his years and he has a real drive to do better and to figure things out and to choose the high vibration over the low vibration with different people and in different situations, you're really going to see him do very well. Okay. We have another one from Melissa Subia or Masubi. Are all karmic contracts bad or toxic? I mean, I think it's so much work that it tends to feel that way. I think that life in general, as a karmic experience, you could say is life toxic or bad. And I think a lot of people tuning in here would be like, oh, for sure, 100%. And a lot of people, maybe tomorrow, maybe even the same people would have a different opinion. Like, no, it's an amazing experience. This is great. This is wonderful. It depends on what you do with it, and it depends on what they do with it. So usually the big issue I find with karmic contract is that there is debt owed. There is something that's supposed to be done between these two people, but you've usually got one or two that are unwilling to do it. And that's really what makes any kind of relationship toxic. When two people agreed to come to the table and do something together collectively, and then it's not happening. Creates a lot of discord for sure. We have another one from Tom. When pets pass, do they cross over to the same place as humans? Do we get to see them again? Well, we can see them at any time. They're back and forth between the worlds. Animals do not go through the same debate process as humans. When a human passes away, they have to choose whether or not they're going to cross over into the light or they're going to stay put, which is never the right choice. But animals don't do this. They automatically cross because they are the healing entities here on Earth. So we have angels, we have empaths, and we have animals, and they work together as the triad. So animals work under the angels, the healing entities of the universe, and animals get a direct pass. They are able to do the same travel that human spirits who cross into the light do. So they're sometimes over there and they're sometimes here. Literally, like physically. So you may hear your dog, you may feel your dog, you may hear your pet slurping water in the kitchen, or like their little nails on the linoleum, or them jumping up on bed, or them, sitting on a part of your body. If you need healing, you will feel that and you will know that they're there. You just have to pay more attention and talk to them during that time. Absolutely, you'll see them again. Yep. Thankfully, we get to see everybody again who has crossed. Yes. Okay. And we have another one from the Silly Rabbit. Thank you so much for the donations. What if you aren't as enthusiastic about your life purpose? Can spirit change it and open up another avenue for you? No, because spirit didn't choose it. You did. So if you're unhappy with your predicament and you got your donkey in a ditch, you're pretty much stuck with it. And if you don't deal with it, you're going to have to deal with it in the next life. I didn't choose this, I would say. I got a journalism degree. I thought I would be writing from the time I was like 3-4 years old. I was binding my own books before I even knew how to write anything. It was all pictures. And I had no real desire to do this work, but it followed me and followed me and followed me and followed me until I eventually realized I'm going to have to give in and be of service to what I'm called to do. I clearly contracted to do this. Does it mean that I've given up everything else I wanted to do, or that I felt like I was really meant to do? No, I didn't. But I understand that this is first and that will get rolled in eventually. Somehow it will get rolled in. But I can't pick and choose. I can't say not this, only that. You have to do what you signed on to do. And no one can take it over for you. No one can renegotiate the contract because you made the contract. So, it is what it is. I would definitely say that there's a lot of work out there. People want to decide that if we're living and abiding by our life contract, that it's going to be pleasurable and we're going to be super happy about it all the time. And what I find is that it can actually be a lot of difficult, heavy, sometimes even gruesome work. And it's extremely challenging. And the universe tests you a lot, and darker negative energies will come and try to prevent you from getting it done. So blocks and obstacles are higher. Relationship problems are higher. We just did a mini class. Go in the playlist here on YouTube in mini classes called Fighting the Dark Part 2 and check out Fighting the Dark Part 1, where I talk about this. But when you're abiding by your contract, it isn't necessarily pleasurable. You do, however, have a sense of accomplishment. You have a sense of purpose at all times, and you do have a sense of inner peace at all times. So there are benefits for sure. We have one from Michelle. Growing up within the church, there is a very negative view on psychic mediumship. How do we overcome this? Don't care about the church and understand what a cult is. If you were to Google the word cult, we would see the church. Any organization of people rule, okay, and are ruled by fear, manipulation, control, murder, you name it. This is what they do. That's a cult. That's not and should not be honored as a spiritual practice. That's it. Forget about it. Everything you thought you knew, forget it. That's not even what it is. Okay. So of course the church would want to take from you your ability to connect with your higher self, God, spirit, everything true and good and positive in the universe. Of course they would, because how would they make money? From Karen, do crystals really work? Do you use them? I never did until I had a headache one day and someone told me to hold on to tiger's eyes, the brown stones, and I held a whole bunch of them and I tossed them from hand to hand and it pulled my headache out. And normally when I get a headache, it turns into a migraine and I'm in a dark room or I'm vomiting and it's like this horrible thing that you can't reverse. I also have to take a lot of ibuprofen when I get headaches, and I have never done anything naturally that worked except for those tiger's eyes. And one time a girl did Reiki on me. But after that, I was really intrigued and I made sure that I always had tiger's eyes near me, not just for headaches, but also to help me to stay rooted and grounded. Because when you give too many readings in a row, like your face gets numb and then you start to kind of pass out. Like my students, I have to train them. I have to make sure they don't vomit. Okay. You can only give so many readings and stay to the right side of your brain for so long. So tiger's eyes help with that. And then also things like quartz crystal. So when I do psychic surgery on people, or, I'm doing like any type of healing that's really going to drain my energy, paranormal work included, or criminal investigations, missing people, things like that are super, super heavy toxic energy, I will hold on to the quartz crystals. And I've even bought myself a couple wands. And as long as your crystals are charged properly, then it really works. Other ones I don't really know much about. I will tell you this: amethyst causes a lot of problems. That's the purple one. It increases psychic ability. And I always say, do not keep it on your person. Do not keep it in your bedroom. If you want to relax at night, you need to keep things like amethyst way far away from you, or it will disrupt your sleep and your ability to concentrate. I would recommend the same thing at work. People think it's a great idea to have it on them because it's going to make them more psychic. Well, that's distraction. Those of us that do this all the time are constantly fighting to keep a train of thought steady. You don't want that problem. You want to maintain what it is that you need to focus on. And then when you're ready to entertain more psychic ability, do it at a designated time. Okay, we have another one from Jason B. I've seen people cleanse with Palo Santo or incense, but I've heard sage is the best. Which item is most effective in cleansing? I prefer sage. And I know that if you have nothing at all, no tool whatsoever, you can still cleanse a space. So don't feel like you have to use anything. Your intention has to be there. Sage, feathers, incense, Palo Santo, nothing is going to work if your intention isn't right anyways. So it's intention first, tool second. And if you were to be in a space that you had to clear immediately, you could just use your power to clear that space and leave it at that. Okay. But yes, I like sage the most. Okay. We have one more, or are we at time? All right. So from a Josh, congratulations on 2 years. Will we see more classes? Thank you, Josh. I cannot believe it has been 2+ years since COVID hit. So again, this was the quarantine series. I have decided to continue on with the classes. This was just something I did for you guys to be of service while we were in quarantine and we were all panicking and we were losing our loved ones. I thought it was a good time for us to focus on our spiritual development and some positivity. It really took off and you guys are enjoying it. I would appreciate if you guys could, either now or even after this class ends, please post in the comment section here on YouTube at Ask Ivy what upcoming classes you would like to see. I am going to continue this series, and I'm going to be designing some different, I want to say, groups or series of classes going forward based on your feedback. Now, if you guys are on TikTok, don't post here because it's going to disappear as soon as this video ends, but either message me or go over again to YouTube at Ask Ivy. So yes, absolutely. I am going to continue. Thank you so much again. Yes, thank you, you guys. See you in the comments. Was that our last question that we're taking? I know we are at an hour, so I guess we are wrapping it up. Okay, very good. So I just want to say thank you, Mairead, my beautiful producer, for doing such a great job. Thank you, everybody, really for being such a support. Over the last couple years, when the pandemic hit, I was super traumatized. I lost half my business. I couldn't do any public events. That was my livelihood. I couldn't do any psychic fairs. I couldn't take all of my graduates and employ them anymore. So it literally took half of what I built and it wiped it right out overnight. And when Spirit told me to come on here and start doing these, I really didn't know what the heck I was even supposed to be talking about. I'm glad I showed up and I opened my mouth, and to have you guys as company through this entire journey has been such a blessing and has taught me so much. It's also really helped to grow my channels a ton, and so that allows me to do even more things. Okay, hope to see you guys at Psychic Mediumship course starting April 25th. I will see you guys back here. Let's see, it'll be next Wednesday is my Ask Ivy show, 8 p.m. Eastern, TikTok and YouTube, where I take your personal questions and I deliver out messages from Spirit. Talk to you guys soon. Have a great night. Thanks again.